All right, everyone. We're going to now have the reading of the Lord's commandments. We will start, as always, in Exodus, the 20th chapter. We'll start with verse 1.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
All right, let's go over to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Okay, let's go over to Revelations, 22nd chapter. Pick it up at verse 13.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So there we had a reading of the Lord's commandments, and we noticed that everybody that is without are all the ones that are breaking the Lord's commandments. And if we read in the next chapter, it'll say that Jesus is the one who gave them this. So why are they always saying that Jesus did away with the law? The Lord said if you love him, you keep his commandments. He said if you want mercy, keep the commandments. And I think all of us in here could use some of that mercy. So if we want it, keep the commandments. I want to say happy Sabbath to everyone.
Happy Sabbath.
And we are going to look at a lesson titled Entertaining Angels Unawares. Entertaining Angels Unawares. And I came up with this lesson some years ago. But, I was always hearing somebody say, well, I seen an angel, or an angel told me this, or the Lord told me that, or, my grandmama died and I seen her in a vision, or she came to me in the middle of the night to tell me something. And, I just couldn't take it anymore. To be honest with you, I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I put this lesson together, and in the midst of doing that, I learned a lot of things about how much I didn't know. The book is like that. But throughout our lives, at one point or another, we all have entertained an angel, but we couldn't see him. And you know what else? We don't know if it was a holy angel or one of them fallen angels. But we're going to see through this book that they both operate. And they both don't operate freely. They both operate according to God's commandments. Satan don't operate freelance on his own. He take orders from the Lord himself. So we're going to get into this. We also going to see what an angel actually looks like. Because it don't look like what you had been taught. You know, the little baby with the wings, run around making everybody fall in love, shooting with a bow and arrow. That ain't him. They don't look like what we see in pictures or what we see in statues. But what we are going to learn is that if you ever saw one, it'll scare the living daylights out of you. And you won't ever want to see them again. But I ain't going to hold it up. Let's get into this. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's start this out, Revelations 12. We're going to pick it up in verse 7. Revelations 12, verse 7. You got it? Go ahead.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
So there's a war in heaven, right? Michael and his angels fighting against Satan and his angels. So if this is this type of war in heaven, we got to ask ourselves this. Why is everybody always trying to go there? Why? Because I'm quite sure that war is worse than any war that we ever had down here. Well, go ahead.
Verse 8. And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Go ahead.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So he was cast out to the earth, and all of his angels was cast out with him. The angels are innumerable, and he took a third of them with him. So we don't have any idea of how many there are on this planet. But go ahead.
Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night.
So they say they accuse him before our God day and night. Now we know what those angels do. They accuse us day and night before God. They can't accuse us of something we hadn't done, can they? But they do. Day and night. Now we're going to skip. We're going to go to 1 Peter 3. We're going to pick it up at verse 18.
Now, Brother Mike, did you want to hit 12 through 13 and 17?
No, that's the long version.
Okay.
We're going to take the short version today. 1 Peter 3, verse 18. So now we have to ask ourselves, if they're all down here, why can't we see them? Where are they? And if it's that many of them, surely we should see them popping up here and there. 1 Peter 3:18, go ahead.
For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison.
So now we have to ask ourselves, what prison? What prison are they in? Go ahead.
20, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water.
So now he just gave us some information. This was during the time of Noah, when the ark was being built. And these angels were sometime disobedient. Now, I know a lot of times they try to teach that, when Christ was crucified, that he went in the grave and he wouldn't preach to some angel, but that's not true. Because this specifically says that this was during the time of Noah, when the ark was being built. So we got to figure out what prison they in. They're not in the county jail, we know that. Well, they could be. But they're not in an ordinary prison. We're going to find out what type of prison they're in. Go to Jude 1, pick it up at verse 5. Jude 1, verse 5. Remember, these were the angels that were sometimes disobedient. These are the angels that were at war with Michael in heaven. These are the angels that followed Satan and that was cast down. Jude 1, verse 5. All right, go ahead.
I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not.
So now he's talking about during the time of when he destroyed Egypt. You notice that in any case when he's talking about these angels, he's talking about destruction. They destroyed the world in the times of Noah, but now he's talking about the time of Egypt. And the Lord said he destroyed Egypt by doing what? Sending evil angels among them. Go ahead.
6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
Wait a minute. So now we know we're talking about them angels that was kicked out, right? That was their first estate, was in heaven. So they started a war and got kicked out. So they left their first estate, their own habitation. Go ahead.
He hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
So that is why we can't see them. Because they are under everlasting chains of darkness. We can't see them. They're around here. We just can't see them. And they are reserved until the day of judgment for them. You know who end up in that lake of fire? Man. That's who's going to end up in there with these angels. But it was created for them, and it's reserved for them. So now we see what type of prison they're in. They're under chains of darkness, so we can't see them, but they are still there. So if we can't see them, how do we recognize if we're dealing with one of them? How do we know what type of angel we're dealing with? Is it a holy angel or a wicked angel? Go to Psalms 103, pick it up at verse 20. Now this is the holy angel. We already saw how the wicked and the evil angels operate. They cause war, they cause chaos, they accuse people. Let's see what the holy ones do. Psalms 103, verse 20. All right, go ahead.
Bless the Lord, ye his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments.
Oh, the angels got to keep the commandments too, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
But it said here, they excel in strength. We know this. How do we know this? Because they kicked Satan and all of his angels out of heaven and cast them to the earth. So we know that they excel in strength and that they do his commandments. Go ahead.
Hearkening unto the voice of his word.
And they hearken to the voice of his word. See, the only person that got a problem with keeping the commandments and hearkening to the word of the Lord is man. It's us. We're the problem. But go ahead.
21. Bless ye the Lord, all ye his hosts, ye ministers of his, that do his pleasure.
So these are the ones that are ministers and the ones that do the Lord's pleasure. The scripture also said that they are ministers to the heirs of salvation. You know who that is? That's us. So those angels were created to serve us. Now I know that might sound weird to you guys if you ain't never read it, but that's what the book says. They are ministering spirits to the heirs of salvation. So let's pursue it a little further. Let's go to Job 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 6. Job 1, verse 6. Now, I said these things and we read what these angels do. Now we're going to prove how they operate. Job 1, verse 6. All right, go ahead.
Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
So these are the holy angels, the ones that do his will, the one that keep his commandments, and also Satan. And we know Satan is rebellious and disobedient. But why is he showing up also? Go ahead.
7. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Wasn't he cast down to the earth? The book said that. We're just proving these things as we go through the book. So y'all can't go away from here saying, Brother Mike lied to y'all about this thing or another. What you're going to say is that we read it. And the book confirmed it. And the book taught you. So he going to and fro in the earth, walking up and down in it. Go ahead.
8. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil?
Go ahead.
Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doeth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
So you see what Satan been doing? When he said he was going up and down and to and fro on the earth, he checked Job out on every side, every corner, every nook and cranny, looking for a chink in the armor, looking for a way that he could persecute him. But he couldn't find none. You know, Lord, you put a hedge around him on every side. So that means he must have checked, right?
Right.
He had to have checked on every side to be able to tell the Lord this face to face. Why is he checking Job out like this? We're going to find out, but go ahead.
You want to keep going, Israel?
Keep going.
But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he had, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord.
So we got to ask this question. If Satan operated on his own, why do we have to ask the Lord for permission? He should have been able to just vex Job until he got tired of doing it, if he operated under his own power and his own permission. But we see he asked the Lord, put forth your hand, and he going to curse you to your face. But what the Lord say, he is in your hands, you just can't kill him. We keep going.
13. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Yeah, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped along to tell thee.
This is how it starts. First he touched his property, killed his servants, and one of them escaped to come back to tell the story. Well, go ahead.
16. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and have burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yeah, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
Now that happened 3 times. 3 times. Same thing. He said, I alone is come to tell thee. Well, go ahead.
18. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said,
Wait a minute. That's too much, ain't it?
It is, man.
And none of us have ever probably been through anything like this. One, maybe, in fleeting periods of our life, but never all in the same day.
Right.
Like this. But remember, he had been checking Job out for a long time. He had been wanting to get to Job for a long time. But go ahead.
Middle of 18, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
Go ahead.
Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
How can the man live to do this? After you done lost everything. And we notice that all of these things happened to Job, but Job never once said that Satan was doing it to him, did he?
No, he didn't.
Because he can't see him. But you see how he's operating. He's operating through wicked men and also use the forces of nature. But the Lord gave that to him to use. Job said, naked I came here out of my mother's womb, and naked I'm going to return. And then he gave praise to the Lord, even in all of this turmoil. But what did Satan want him to do? He wanted him to curse God to his face. That's what Satan wanted him to do. But let's see what happened. Go ahead.
22. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly.
He did not break his integrity. And all of that. And we see how Satan was vexing him. So sometimes when we start going through things and stuff start to happen, and you suffer loss after loss after loss, maybe it's time to put on your spiritual eyes and wonder, who am I really dealing with? What's behind all of this? Or who is behind all of it? And be aware that if God is letting this happen, there's a reason, because it cannot happen without him. So while you got his attention, do something to impress him, because surely Job has his attention. But let's see how this played out. Go into chapter 2, verse 1. Chapter 2, verse 1. Go ahead.
Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord.
Oh, he had to do it again, didn't he? See, when the Lord tell him, hey, you come too, he got to come too. When you say you go, he got to go. You sit, he got to sit. Because, the Lord can make a lake of fire for him and put him in it at this time if he wanted to. And Satan know that. Remember when Jesus came and them fallen angels, unclean spirits said, what do you have to do with us? Are you here to persecute us before our time? Didn't the book say he had a place reserved for them and their judgment? So we see why they were only sometimes disobedient back in the days of Noah. But let's keep moving. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Do he stop on his job? Has he hesitated? Did he rest? Did he sleep? Did he even take a break?
No, he didn't.
He doing his job, what he is meant to do. Go to and fro, up and down in the earth. But go ahead.
3. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause.
Also, this is what Satan was wanting to do, to destroy him. But Satan couldn't touch Job unless the Lord allowed it. That's why the Lord said, you have moved me against him. See, our God is perfect, and he is just. And he will not leave one occasion for the wicked to say that he is not anything other than that. If I am all powerful, which he is, There's nothing that he can't do. And he ain't going to leave us with one doubt that he can't do it. See, that's what this whole thing is about. It's about faith. Do you believe the testimony that the Lord has had written for us? Well, let's keep pursuing it. Go ahead.
4. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yeah, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life.
He said, you can touch him, but you can't kill him. Why is Satan obeying the Lord like this? Because he cannot do anything but that. And I know that that's what they commonly teach, that, that Satan is equal and opposing force to God. But God created him as Lucifer, the light bearer. You think he created something that he cannot control? Only man do that. We create nuclear bombs, now we don't know what to do with them. Now they poisoning everything. Only man do that. But keep going.
7. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, doest thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die.
Wait a minute. Ain't that what Satan said?
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, when Adam and Eve, when the Lord brought Eve to Adam, he said, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh.
Mm-hmm.
That was his wife. They are one. Now, he couldn't get to Job, but he did get to his wife.
Yeah, he did.
And we see that. Why? Because she repeated the same words, almost verbatim. Like I said, sometimes you got to take a step back and put them spiritual eyes on and realize who you're dealing with, even in your spouse, from time to time. Not all the time, from time to time. Or your boss, or your mother, or your father, because we are all flesh and blood, even yourself. When you look in that mirror, you are not exempt. You're just as vulnerable as anybody else. If the Lord remove your hedge, Satan will sift you like wheat. And we're going to read that. Did we finish that?
Yeah, we finished verse 9.
Go ahead with 10.
10. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speak.
Now he didn't say she was a fool.
Mm-mm.
She said she speaketh as a foolish woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lesson in that, fellas. It's a certain way you got to talk to your spouse.
Yeah.
But we can learn from this. Go ahead.
What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil?
You see how he said that? We receive good at the hand of the Lord, but we also receive what? Evil at his hand, because it was by his hand that he allowed Satan to vex Job, to persecute him. Like I said, if this is happening to us, it's by God's will. And that's who we need to turn to. But go ahead.
In all this did not Job sin with his lips.
So he said, and all that he didn't sin with his lips. But now we're starting to see the operation of things on a spiritual level. We can't see it with our eyes, but we can recognize it as it manifests itself in our life and in others people's lives, even in society, even in the world, even in countries and nations. We can see it. Why? Because God is not an author of confusion, but Satan is. When you see the confusion, you see him. But let's keep moving. Let's go look at something else. Go to 1 Samuel 28. Pick it up at verse 7. And this is Saul. We all know how disobedient Saul was. And the Lord had cut him off and stopped talking to him, stopped communicating with him, Stop giving him instruction. And he's seeking instruction. So he's going to do something. And we'll read it. We'll just read through it. 1 Samuel 28, verse 7. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor.
So now we see what he's seeking, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did the book say he was seeking? A familiar
spirit.
He wanted to confer with a woman that has a familiar spirit. But go ahead.
Verse 8. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night.
Now you see how his actions are?
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't doing nothing wrong, you ain't got to disguise yourself.
Mm-mm.
Then you're going to sneak out by night too?
Right.
No, you wrong. Your actions tell you. They bear witness against you. But you cannot disguise yourself against God. And there ain't no darkness dark enough that he can't see you in. But we see his mindset. Go ahead.
Middle of 8. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee.
Go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards, and out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
Man, how can you make a promise like that? By the name of the Lord, and you breaking his commandment. Because the Lord said that we ain't supposed to consult with these type of people. No wizards. Nobody have familiar spirits. None of these people that peep and talk to dead people. No palm readers. None of that. That's all wickedness. And it's against God's commandment. But go ahead.
11. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring up Samuel.
So he said, bring me up Samuel, which is a prophet. Go ahead.
And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth.
So this is what the woman said she saw. Gods descending out of the earth. Go ahead.
And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel.
Was it Samuel? It didn't say that, did it? Mm-mm. It said Saul perceived that it was Samuel. Mm-hmm. But he is dealing with a woman that have a familiar spirit. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams.
Wait a minute. The Lord don't answer him by prophets. Mm-mm. What is Samuel? A prophet. So we see how deluded he is. And he done sought out a woman with a familiar spirit. That's one of those angels that fell down with Satan. Because remember, the holy angels keep God's commandments. And they obey his word. They don't do this type of thing. We read that, didn't we? So now we know what he's dealing with. But he looking at this woman. Look behind the woman. And he playing a part. He acting just like he is Samuel. But go ahead.
Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, wherefore then doest thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy?
Now this is a familiar spirit that's saying this to him. So that lets you know that they know too. Mm-hmm. Of course they know. We saw how Satan was checking Job out on every side.
Yeah.
He didn't leave nothing unturned. Go ahead.
17. And the Lord have done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord have rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David.
So this is the information he's getting from who? From the woman that hath a familiar spirit. Now he's dealing with something that he can't see. Because remember it said he perceived that it is Saul. This lady is lying to him and telling him what the Spirit is telling her. And we see how it deceived him. But let's find out if it really was Samuel or if it was a familiar spirit. Go to 1 Chronicles 10, pick it up at verse 13. We're going to just read that, then we're going to move on. 1 Chronicles 10, verse 13. We're going to see the reward that Saul got for his behavior. First Chronicles 10, verse 13. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, go ahead.
So Saul died for his transgression, which he committed against the Lord.
So what happened to Saul?
He died.
He died. Why? Because his transgressions that he committed against the Lord. Go ahead.
Even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit.
And asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit. That's against God's law. And what did he do?
To inquire of it.
To inquire of it. Not of Samuel, but of it. What is the it? The familiar spirit. Mm-hmm. But now we see that how these things are behind a lot of the operations, a lot of the deceptions, a lot of the misguiding, even things that they repeat and say in church. Well, your great-grandmama came to me in a dream and told me this. Really? The book say the dead know not anything and have no more part of anything under the sun.
Make it plain.
That's the absolute, isn't it?
It is.
Because the sun's still shining. No dead person should have anything to do with the living. So if you're talking to anything, what is it? A familiar spirit.
Teach.
One of them fallen angels. They got cast out with Satan. So now that we see this and we know how to protect ourselves, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We know how to govern ourselves. We know how to see with our spiritual eyes to know that this is ungodly and it's against God's commandment. And it's something we should not be doing. And we saw the reward for it. He died for his transgressions and for seeking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit. But let's keep going. We're going to look at another example. And in these examples, we're just seeing how these angels operate, the things they do. So when we live in our life and we see these things start to occur, we can recognize them. Go to Numbers 22. Pick it up at verse 18. Numbers 22, verse 18. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, go ahead.
And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, if Balak will give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more.
So now this is a issue they had between Balaam and Balak, and they was going at it for a little bit, but he's telling him here, hey, I don't care what you give me. I don't care how much money you give me. I cannot go past the word of my Lord. I can't do less and I can't do more. Go ahead.
19. Now therefore, I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do.
Go ahead.
And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass and went with the princes of Moab. And God's anger was kindled because he went.
Wait a minute. The Lord told him, say, if these men come to you, go with them. So why was God mad at him? Because the men never came to him. He just took it upon his own to get up and follow after him. He went to them. Something as simple as that made the Lord angry. And his anger was kindled against him. But go ahead.
Middle of 22. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him.
Wait a minute. You don't want the angel of the Lord to be your adversary. Because we're going to see how they operate too. Remember, this is a holy angel. So that means that he must be out of order. Because he said it's his adversary. Go ahead.
Now he was riding upon his ass, and his 2 servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way.
So now we see what's happening. This angel of the Lord was sitting there with his sword drawn, ready to slay him. He couldn't see it. Why? They're under chains of darkness. Can't see him, but he was there. But we see who saw him was the donkey.
Yeah, it did.
And it turned away from him. And what did he do? He smote it. He hit it.
He did.
To force it to go the way he wanted to go. But go ahead.
24. But the angel of the Lord stood in a path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself into the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again.
Man, you see how this thing is going? He is determined to do what he wants to do, to go in the way that the Lord told him not to go, even though it's going to cost him his life. But he can't see what's going on. The donkey see, but he don't see, nor do he perceive. To the point where his own donkey broke his leg against the wall to prevent him from going the wrong way. That's going to cost him his life. Go ahead.
26. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left.
So he got him cornered. Go ahead.
And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff.
Man, he is mad, ain't he?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he done hit this donkey 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make it go the way he wants to go. Now, sometimes in our own life, we have this mentality. We are determined to do something that's going to cost us. And some kind of way, the Lord is preventing it. But we determined to do it at whatever cost. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we can't see what's going on behind the scenes. We don't perceive it. We don't know it. But we see here that he is entertaining an angel unawares. Let's see what happens. Go ahead.
28. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times?
Wait a minute.
All right?
If you don't know nothing, you should know it now. This donkey you done had for I don't know how long starts to talk to you and ask you a question. He should be able to see this now. But let's see if he can see it or not. Go ahead.
29. And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now would I kill thee.
So he said, if I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you. But this is how it's going. He obviously cannot see spiritually what's going on. But go ahead.
30. And the ass said unto Balaam.
Wait a minute. It's a conversation now.
Yeah.
It didn't turn from just the donkey talking to him conversating with him.
Right.
And he still haven't perceived that this is not normal.
Right.
It's not normal. That's like you waking up and your cat is on the edge of the bed and say, hey, I'm hungry. I need some kibbles and bits.
Yeah.
That ain't normal. Go ahead.
30. And the ass said unto Balaam, am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee?
It's too much now. Now it's reasoning with him. Go ahead.
And he said, nay.
Wait, he answered him back?
Yeah. He talking to him.
Go ahead.
31. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam.
Oh, wait a minute. So the Lord can open your eyes to where you can see this. Now, it ain't always got to be a physical thing, because trust me, I don't want to see an angel. But right now, he's opened our eyes spiritually to where we can recognize it when it manifests itself in the world. And we can recognize that we can avoid these things. But go ahead.
And he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me.
Ooh, see, when we start having these problems, it's telling us what? That our way is perverse before the Lord. And he's not happy with us. But now that we can recognize it, when he start overturning your works in the night, when he start undoing everything you're trying to do, when you are just bent and determined on doing something that is against him, and he do something to make you pump your brakes, stuff just don't work out, no matter what. Now we can recognize it. We can recognize the operation of his hand in our life. But how did he do it? Through an angel. Now, he went through all of this and had a whole drawn-out conversation with a donkey and still couldn't realize until the Lord opened his eyes. But this could be us. Don't make no mistake about it. It could be any one of us. We probably done talked to a donkey or two. Who knows? We talk to our pets, don't we? It ain't no different. But finish that up, man. Go to 35.
33. And the ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee and saved her alive.
Man, the Lord said, look, I would have killed you and saved that donkey alive. So really, the donkey saved his life, right?
Yeah, it did.
Did you finish that?
34.
Go ahead.
And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displease thee, I will get me back again. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak.
So we see what the whole thing was, is that the Lord gave him some instructions, some very simple instructions. If they come to you, go with them. But he didn't follow that, did he?
No, he did.
He just up and went on his way with them by his own choice. Something simple as that can get you cut off and killed. So that means that we have to do it. We have to follow his word directly. And he knew that. He said, I can't do no more, no less than what he said, what the Lord tell me. But he did it anyway. How many times have we done that? Well, let's keep going. Go to Isaiah 37. Pick it up at verse 15. We're just going to see how these angels act. And we see that they're not just acting on their own. They're taking orders the holy ones and the unholy ones. Isaiah 37, verse 15. And this is dealing with Israel and Hezekiah when he was going to war with Assyria. Remember I said the Lord could do this, he could do it with a person or he could deal with a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
15. And Hezekiah prayed unto the Lord, saying, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, that dwellest between the cherubims, that art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thine ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Lord, and see, and hear all the words of Sennacherib, which have sent to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries.
You see what he's saying? So he's sort of troubled. So he prayed to the Lord. Mm-hmm. But he's saying, hey, look what this guy's saying about you. And this country, these Assyrians, they done laid waste to all nations and their countries. Skip down to verse 28. This is what the Lord said.
But I know thy abode, and thy going out, and thy coming in, and thy rage against me.
So he's talking to Sennacherib. Go ahead.
Because thy rage against me and thy tumult is coming up into mine ears. Therefore will I put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way by which thou camest.
So he's telling him, hey, you're not going to prosper. I'm going to turn you back from the way you came. Now, this battle, this occurrence, is documented in history. You can go to any history book, any insight, you can Google it, and you can read about this. So this ain't just something that's written in the Bible, just in case somebody don't believe it. It's actual history. In most cases, the Bible is more accurate than any history book you can ever read. After all, it is from the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. But let's see what happened to him and his army. Skip down to 35.
For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake.
So this is what the Lord is saying to Sennacherib. Go ahead.
Then the angel of the Lord went forth.
Who went forth?
The angel of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
155,000. Go ahead.
And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses.
In one night. You see how the Lord operate with his angels?
Yeah.
You see what type of power and strength one angel in one night. Mm-hmm. Something to think about. But go ahead.
37. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh.
Didn't the Lord say that's what he was going to do to him? Remember, he killed all of his soldiers and left him alive. Sound familiar, don't it? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
38. And it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword.
But you know, the Lord said, I ain't forget about you. His own sons killed him. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead.
But you see how the Lord operated that. How did he do it? Through an angel. Mm-hmm. But in history, it don't tell you that an angel did that. No. It says that a plague killed them in one night. Plagues make you sick and you die over a period of time. They don't kill you in one night. Yeah. Not 155,000. But all of us that have the spiritual eyes to see and the mind to perceive and to know, we know that it was an angel of the Lord. And that the Lord did that. Did the angel operate on his own?
No.
No. He did as he was commanded, just like we read in Psalms. They keep his commandments and they abide by every word that he said. Go to 2 Kings 6, pick it up at verse 8. Second Kings 6, verse 8. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
2 Kings 6, verse 8. Go ahead.
Then the king of Syria warred against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp.
So this is another war. Now these are two nations, remember, not just people, individuals. Go ahead.
And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice.
Go ahead.
Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants, and said unto them, will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel?
So in this case, this king is trying to trap him, to kill him. It said not once or twice, probably more than that. So he thinks that he has a spy in his camp. That's why he said, which one of us is for Israel, for the men of Israel? But we're going to see how he noticed. Go ahead.
12. And one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber.
He said that prophet Elisha in Israel, he know what you're doing in your bedchambers. He know what you're saying in secret. Go ahead.
13. And he said, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host. And they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do?
Man, they in a bad situation, ain't they? So this guy caught up with him and surrounded him with horses and chariots, right?
Yeah, he did.
The whole city. That's a lot of soldiers, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
To surround a whole city. What would we do if we were in that situation? How would we feel? What would we think? Man, I'm surrounded by a whole army. Go ahead.
16. And he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they be with them.
He
Right.
done told that to his servant. Hey, don't be afraid. There's more with us than it is with them. Now, it's just me and you standing here,
Yeah.
and we surrounded by a whole army of chariots and horses. You're like, man, you've been drinking. Because ain't nobody standing here but me and you, and we surrounded. You got to be out of your mind. But when you had the eyes to see it and the spiritual awareness to know, you know how your God operates. So let's see what really was going on. Did you keep going? Go ahead.
17. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountains was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
So now, all of them, not just the city, all of the mountains round about them was full of horses and chariots. And what was with them? Read that again.
And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
And there was horses and chariots of fire. These are different than the normal horses and chariots, ain't they?
Yeah, they are.
But go skip down. Well, no, we good right there. But you can see here that, like the scriptures say, the Lord encampeth around those that fear him. Those were angels.
Yeah, they were.
But they couldn't see him at first. Now, Elisha knew they were there, just like we know they're there. Who do you think saved you from that car accident? Who do you think brought you back from the brink of death when you was in the hospital after surgery? Who do you think it was that provided you with water and food? And how it was provided? But they also work through people. You got to be able to see behind the person and know what you're dealing with. So let's see, go to Ecclesiastes. Pick it up at verse 20. So now remember, that God told the king, he said, that prophet Elisha, know what you say in your bed chamber. So we're going to see how he knew this. Ecclesiastes 10, verse 20. Then we're going to move on. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought, and curse not the rich in thy bedchamber.
He said, don't curse the king, not in your thought, or the rich in your bedchamber. And this is why. Go ahead.
For a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which hath wings shall tell the matter.
So this is how Elisha knew. Why? Because that angel came and told him, don't go over here, he's waiting for you. Go over here.
Right.
Now sometimes you don't hear these things, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you get an instinct or some instruction to say, hey, don't do that. Don't go that way, go this way. And nobody else might not understand it but you. But what do you think that is? A voice in your head? Somebody hiding in the bushes whispering to you? No. That's what I said. We have all entertained angels, unawares at one point or another. We just were unaware of it. Go to Psalms 104. Pick it up at verse 1, I'm sorry. Psalms 104, verse 1. Remember, he said that there was chariots of fire all around them, right?
Yeah, he did.
Psalms 104, verse 1, and skip to 4. Go ahead.
Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty.
Down to 4.
Who maketh his angels spirits.
Wait a minute, he make his angels spirits. You can't see a spirit, can you?
No, you can't.
A spirit is not bound by physical matter. It can walk through walls. It can go sit in your car. It can move anywhere. And not only that, we're going to see how they move. But go ahead.
His ministers a flaming fire.
And they are ministers of flaming fire. So when they saw them chariots of fire, what did they see? Angels. And what are angels? Ministering spirits to the heirs of salvation. That's what they were doing their job. Protecting whoever God say they got to protect. Being a hedge around those that fear God and keep his commandments. Go to Daniel 10, pick it up at verse 1. Daniel 10, verse 1. Now here's another example. Now, this is dealing with Daniel. 10 verse 1. Go ahead.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and had understanding of the vision.
So skip down to verse 4.
And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz.
This ain't an ordinary man, is it? Go ahead.
His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire.
We know that this is not a regular man, but this is what he looked like. Go ahead.
And his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision. But a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves.
So now you see how they responded to this presence, right? A great quaking came upon them, and they went and hid themselves. Now they can't see this angel, but they can sense it. We all had feelings like that before. Skip down to verse 11.
And he said unto me, O Daniel.
I'm sorry. Did we keep reading? Keep reading.
Verse 8, right?
Yes.
Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me.
So Daniel said he didn't have no strength in him either, did he?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength.
This is how a presence of an angel affects you. So if somebody ever told you they stood there and talked to an angel, read this to them. 'Cause this affects your presence, don't it?
Yeah,
The other
it does.
men ran and fell. This brother ain't got no strength to even stand up. Skip down to 11.
And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright. For unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words.
Now, this angel said the first day that you prayed, right, your words came up and they were heard. And now I'm come for thy words. So this angel is coming to do what? To instruct him.
Right.
Not to jump inside of him and make him holler and scream and run around and do all kind of nonsense. He came to instruct him. Even that's a lie. But he said, hey, something happened. Go ahead.
13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me.
So that is Satan. Go ahead.
Withstood me 21 days.
Man, 21 days. So this is how long he was waiting for an answer. But who was blocking him from getting the answer?
Satan.
Satan. How is he blocking him? By withstanding Gabriel. That's who this angel is. But all this is happening in front of his face. Now he can't see it, but it's happening. Go ahead.
End of 13. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me.
And Michael even had to come and help him. Now all of this is going on. And it took 21 days. So when you have prayed, and sometimes it's taking a while.
Yeah, for real.
Maybe Satan is messing with the angel that's supposed to give you this information. Or one of his fallen angels. This just have the mind to perceive what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe that's what's happening. I didn't say that is, I said maybe. But that is what is happening in this case with Daniel. But go ahead.
End of 13. And I remained there with the kings of Persia.
So he said, and he remained there with him. But listen to what he said. Go ahead. This ain't part of it, but go ahead.
Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. And
So that's what the whole thing was about. He came to do what? To give him some information on what was going to befall Israel in the latter days.
Yeah.
But Satan was withstanding it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Michael had to come and help Gabriel. Skip down to verse 20. Is that 20? Yeah, 20.
Yeah. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia.
So he had to go and continue fighting with him.
Mm-hmm. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come.
So now we see what was withholding Daniel's answer to his prayer. Satan. But he fought with Gabriel and he fought with Michael. So he must be pretty tough, but he can't fight with the Lord. Go to Ezekiel 1. So now, we saw how Daniel described the angel. Let's see how Ezekiel described the angel. And we're going to see if this looks like what we learned from modern day Christianity, what angels look like.
Okay.
Because now if they don't match, you got to understand that if they will lie to you about this, they will lie to you about anything. And it's not the only thing that they lied about. Ezekiel 1, we're going to see if this angel looks like little Cupid. Verse 1. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God.
So he said the heavens was open, he saw visions of God. Skip down to verse 4.
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, and they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings.
This don't sound like Cupid, do it?
At all.
But now we see what they look like. Mm-hmm. And now you see why I said early in this lesson, I don't ever want to see one. Ever. If just their presence can take all of your strength, imagine seeing this. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward.
You ever seen how a hummingbird fly?
Mm-hmm.
That's how these things fly. They ain't got to turn. They can just go whatever direction they want to go in.
That's right.
Go ahead.
10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whether the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning.
That's how fast they move, at the speed of light. They can go here, there, wherever they want to go that fast. So there ain't nothing for them to get from one country to another. Or to observe you and 10 other people almost at the same time. Skip down to verse 22.
And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two, which covered on this side, and every one had two, which covered on that side, their bodies.
So they had actually 6 wings.
Mm-hmm.
4 faces, a face on every side. Calves' feet.
Mm-hmm.
And their body was like lightning and fire all together. Now you tell me you saw an angel.
Right?
If you saw anything, you saw a familiar spirit. But you didn't see this. And not only that, they move at the speed of light.
Yeah, they do.
It didn't say it in this one, but in the other versions, it tells you that they got wings all over their body. I mean, eyes all over their body and their wings.
Jeez. On
the inside and on the out. So that means whatever you're doing, they're going to catch you.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't getting away with nothing. And I don't know about y'all, I don't like it when one person stare at me. If I seen something like that with all them eyes looking at me, I would have a problem. And they just following you everywhere. I can't take thinking about it. Talking about being under pressure. But it's a good thing that the Lord put them under chains of darkness. Even that itself is a blessing. Because I don't want to see nothing like that. But let's keep going. Let's go to Zechariah 3, verse 1. So now we see what they look like. Those were cherub angels. But sometimes they do appear as a man. They met Abraham as a man. They met Jacob as a man.
Mm-hmm.
They met Lot as a man.
Yeah, they did.
But we know that they are under chains of darkness. And here's an example here. Remember, you had the disobedient ones that was cast down. But you also had the holy angels that keep God's commandment and obey his word. Now here's an example of something. Zechariah 3, verse 1. Go ahead.
And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord.
So now Joshua, the high priest, right? Standing before the angel of the Lord. Go ahead.
And Satan standing at his right hand to resist him.
And Satan is sitting right there to resist him. Remember, he gave Michael and Gabriel trouble already. But now in this instance, he's standing here with this priest, just waiting to resist him. You know, they make a joke about this. You ever seen the little cartoon or the commercial where they have the good angel and the bad angel trying to influence the person? And the good angels tell them, no, don't do that. The bad angels say, go ahead and do it. They make jokes about that, but this is real. Imagine who's standing on your right side and who's standing there waiting to resist you. Who's instructing you? Who is directing you? Who is influencing you? And who are you listening to? And who are you following? If you're unaware of this, you might end up going the wrong way. But if you are aware of it, you can see it and you can make the wise decision. If you have anything thought in your head that's constantly telling you to do something against God, check the source. Especially if it ain't something that you would normally doing or normal behavior of your own. Check the source. Would you finish that?
We at verse 2.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. Even the Lord that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire?
So he's talking about Joshua, the high priest. He said, this is a brand plucked out of the fire. This is one that you ain't going to get. Remember, what did he do? Going to and fro through the earth, up and down in it. And other scriptures tell you that he's looking for whom he may devour. And this is going on constantly. Go to Psalms 109. Pick it up at verse 1. Psalms 109, verse 1. But we're going to look at, this is a prayer that David is saying. We're going to look at why he's saying it. So when you find yourself in those situations, and you're looking behind the person and you see your real adversary, you know how to deal with the situation. Psalms 109, verse 1. Go ahead.
Hold not thy peace, O God of my praise. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are opened against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue.
I know we all done experienced that. Go ahead.
They compassed me about also with the words of hatred, and fought against me without a cause.
We all done experienced that. Go ahead.
For my love they are my adversaries.
For your love, they are your adversary. Go ahead.
But I give myself unto prayer.
So he didn't rail back at him. He didn't seek revenge, did he?
No, he didn't.
What did he do?
Gave
He
himself
gave
unto
himself to
prayer.
Go ahead.
And they have rewarded me evil for good, and hatred for my love.
Go ahead.
Set thou a wicked man over him.
Remember, these spirits, the holy ones, they ministers to the heir of salvation, aren't they? So he's asking the Lord, hey, set a wicked man over him. Go ahead.
And let Satan stand at his right hand.
And let Satan stand at his right hand. So if you got a wicked man for a boss, and Satan is directing that man, what's going to be your outcome? It ain't going to be pleasant for you, is it? Sometimes you got to look behind this thing. That's why he said he give himself to prayer. To who? To the Lord. Because only the Lord can allow it to happen, and only the Lord can remove it. But go ahead.
7. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned.
So this is what he's saying. Hey, Lord, I'm putting this in your hand. This is what I'm asking you. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned. Go ahead.
And let his prayer become sin.
And let his prayer become sin. That means you can't even ask for forgiveness, because the Lord does not hear the prayer of sinners. So you ain't got to seek revenge from an enemy, but you have to recognize who the real enemy is. Who's behind that person? What's actually going on behind the scenes? Maybe it's your chance to be the next Job. We don't know. But it's happening. Go to Psalms 35. Pick it up at verse 1. Psalms 35, verse 1. And this is another prayer that he's saying. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me.
See how he's saying? Fight against them that fight against me. Plead my cause against them. Go ahead.
Take hold of shield and buckler, and stand up for mine help. Draw out also the spear, and stop the way against them that persecute me. Say unto my soul, I am thy salvation.
Go ahead.
Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them.
See, that's the type of prayer you got to make. He said, let the angel of the Lord chase them. We saw what the angel of the Lord looked like, didn't we? You want that chasing you?
No, sir.
You want to wake up and get a glimpse of that? I don't think so. Go ahead.
6. Let their way be dark and slippery.
Wait a minute. You got this angel of the Lord chasing you. He moved at the speed of light.
Yeah.
He got fire all over him, and he got eyes all over him. 4 faces. Remember, the scripture said that they are full of strength. Your way is dark and slippery. That's like a bad dream. Go ahead.
End of 6. And let the angel of the Lord persecute them.
And let the angel of the Lord persecute them. Remember, they are ministers to the heirs of salvation. So if you right with the Lord and you make that prayer, and the Lord stand up for your cause, how do you think he's going to do it? You ever been in a situation like Alicia, where it seemed like everything is hopeless, but yet the Lord make a way for you? He do that through his angels. And sometimes his angels use people. Go to Acts 19, pick it up at verse 11. Acts 19, verse 11. But remember, those evil spirits, the unclean ones, the one that fell down with Satan, they still here too. And guess what they doing? Going up and down, to and fro in the earth. Acts 19, verse 11. Go ahead.
And God wrought special miracles by the hands of Paul, so that from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons, and the diseases departed from them, and the evil spirits went out of them.
So this is how he was able to cure people, even of having an unclean spirit. Go ahead.
Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Jesus, saying.
So now, remember I said that when you right with the Lord, you can call on him. Mm-hmm. And he'll have that angel stand up for you. But these guys ain't right with the Lord. So these are vagabond Jews, so-called exorcists. And they called on the name of the Lord with someone who had an evil spirit. Go ahead.
End of 13. Saying, we adjure you by Jesus whom Paul preacheth. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, and chief of the priests, which did so.
So there's this guy, he was a Jew, he was supposed to be a chief priest. He had 7 sons that did this. They called on the name of Jesus, whom Paul preached. Go ahead.
15. And the evil spirit answered and said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know, but who are you?
They don't know them. They said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know. But who are you? But what did that tell us when we look behind the scenes? That these evil spirits, these unclean spirits, these unholy spirits, if you righteous, if you straight with God, they know who you are too.
Yeah, they do.
Didn't Satan know who Job was?
Yeah, he did.
Didn't he check him out on every side?
Yeah.
Wanting to persecute him? You think they ain't checking you out? On every side. If you right with the Lord, you better stay right with him. But go ahead.
16. And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, and overcame them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded.
Man, you know that's a beating. They beat your clothes off of you? That's a beating. And you got to run out wounded and naked. Man, I would pray that the Lord would do this to some of these false prophets today.
For real.
Right while they're on TV. Right in the middle of so-called healing somebody.
Right.
But we see how this occurred. But the main thing in this was that we have to recognize that these spirits, the unclean ones, the wicked ones, the evil ones, they know who the righteous is. And just like Satan, they looking for an opportunity. It's our job not to give them that opportunity. Go to Luke.
Did you want to read down into 20?
Where'd you go? Where'd you stop at?
We stopped at 16.
No, we good. We good, dear.
All right.
Go to Luke 22, pick it up at verse 1. Now here's another example. Now this is dealing with Judas and the Pharisees. Luke 22, verse 1. You get it? Go ahead.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
Man, and that's where we at right now. Go ahead.
And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people.
So the priests and the scribes, the chief priests, they sought how they might kill Jesus. Go ahead.
Then entered Satan into Judas' surname Iscariot.
Now Satan didn't jump into Judas's body. But remember how the angel of the Lord was with it, with that one priest, and Satan stood on his right hand to resist him. He wants to influence him. But in order for him to be able to influence a person, you got to have a weakness. We know what Judas's weakness was. It was money. So let's see if it worked. Go ahead.
3. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him unto them. And they were glad and covenanted to give him money. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude.
So now we see a situation here. Judas was among the 12, right? Walking around with the Lord, hearing the same word that he heard, that they heard, seeing the same miracles that they saw. Yet, Satan had an opportunity. And why was it? Because of money. Now the chief priests and the scribes, they covenanted with Judas for money, didn't they? Did the book just say that?
Yeah.
But who are they really dealing with? Who did they really make a covenant with for money? Remember, Satan was influencing him. We got to be able to look behind the scenes and see things on a spiritual level. Before you make a deal with the devil, you better check it out. Because that's what they did. Although Judas was willing and ready to do it, Satan influenced him. So when they made a deal with Judas, they made a deal with Satan. Remember, he took Jesus up on that mountain and tempted him.
Yeah, he did.
And that was face to face. He tempted him with pride. He tempted him with power. He tried to tempt him with the riches of the world. Everything. Seeking whom he may devour, even the Lord himself. So if he's not immune, we're not immune. Something we have to be aware of. Go to Luke 28. Skip down to verse 28.
Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father hath appointed unto me.
And not just them, the same thing goes for us too. Go ahead.
That ye may eat and drink at my table in the kingdom.
You think Satan wants you to have that? When he got kicked out? Remember, we are the heirs of salvation. He's so hot and jealous of us that he would kill us all in the blink of an eye if the Lord allowed. But the Lord ain't allowing that. But go ahead.
End of 30. And sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath the desire to have you, that he may sift you as wheat.
He know who he is. He desired to have him, that he might sift him like wheat. You ever seen wheat get sifted? That's what he wanted to do to him. Now, if you ain't good with the Lord, you think he don't want to do that to you too? He looking to and fro, looking for whom he may devour. It don't matter. As long as he get to devour somebody. That's what he does. But let's see if the Lord gonna put a legion of angels around him to protect him. Let's see if Michael or Gabriel gonna show up to protect him. Okay. What did the Lord say?
32. But I have prayed for thee that thy faith fail not.
Wait a minute. Your own faith can deliver you. Mm-hmm. Believe in God's word and do it. It is a buckler and a shield to you. Mm-hmm. It is a lamp. It is a light. It is a path of righteousness. Follow it. And he can't touch you unless the Lord say he can touch you. But go ahead.
End of 32. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren.
So he said, don't mean that you ain't going to have, you ain't going to lead no charmed life, like they say. You're going to have trials, you're going to have tribulations, you're going to have failures, you'll have successes. But you ain't going to lose your salvation. Go to Ecclesiastes 5, pick it up at verse 6. So now the Lord's going to give us some instructions here. Now that we know what these angels are, now we know that they're all around us, good and bad ones. This is what the Lord is going to tell us. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 6. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin.
You know, they got an old saying back in the day, say, don't let your body write checks that your body can't, no, don't let your mouth write checks that your body can't cash.
Right.
He said, don't let your mouth cause your flesh to sin.
Right.
Go ahead.
Neither say thou before the angel that it was an error.
Wait a minute. Neither say before the angel that it was an error. If the angel can hear you, he got to be somewhere around, don't he?
Yeah.
And if you say don't say it before the angel, he must be pretty close to you. Oh, it was an error. I didn't mean to do it. I fell down and committed that sin by mistake. Don't say that it's an error. Go ahead.
End of 6. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice?
Wait a minute, but you told the angel that it was an error. But God is angry at your voice. Why? Because he's representing God. Who do you think he gonna tell? Remember in the days of when Job, all the sons of God, they went up to report, didn't they?
Yeah, they
and
did.
Satan came also. It didn't say what type of angel this was. It didn't say it was a good one or a bad one. Remember, Satan is an accuser. You think all the rest of them angels that fell with him ain't an accuser? They looking for the opportunity to accuse you. Go ahead.
End of 6. And destroy the work of thine hands.
Go ahead.
For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities. But fear thou God.
So he said, watch what you say. In a multitude of dreams and in many words, there's also diverse vanities. But the cure to that is to do what? Fear God. And if you fear God, what do? You watch your mouth. Watch what you say. And there's a reason for that. Go to Revelations 18, pick it up in verse 1.
You want to read verse 8?
What'd you read? No, we good. We good. Revelations 18, verse 1. Now remember, in the days of Israel, the Lord was dealing with not just with individuals, but with also whole nations. He dealt with the Assyrians, dealt with Israel, whole nations. He said that nations and countries, didn't he? Go ahead.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils.
So Babylon the Great, that's pretty much the whole world. It's fallen. It has become the habitation of what?
Devils.
Guess where we live at? On earth. They was cast down to the earth, right? Didn't he say, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth?
Yeah.
Who you think he was talking to? He was talking to us. They live down here right with us. We just can't see them. Why? Because they are under chains of darkness. Don't mean that they don't exist. Because we see the result of their presence. Look at the world. Go ahead.
End of 2. And the hold of every foul spirit.
Go ahead.
And the cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Unclean and hateful bird. See, that's what they call angels also. That's why he said the thing that had the wings that fly is going to carry the voice. He's talking about an angel. Everything you say, they write it down. Everything you do, they write it down. Whether they be holy or unholy. Remember, they all still work for God. All of them. Go to Ephesians 6, pick it up at verse 11. Ephesians 6, verse 11. So this is what we got to do. Knowing where we are. The whole world lieth in wickedness. And all those angels was cast down with Satan. And they are innumerable. We don't know how many there are. But we know what they do. So this is what we have to do. Ephesians 6, verse 11. Go ahead.
Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
That you may be able to stand against the ways of the devil. The tricks, the deceit, the traps of the devil. Go ahead.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
That's who the fight is against. But your enemy, you can't see him with your eyes. You see the result of his presence. The result of his works. The influences that he have on people. Because we don't rest with flesh and blood. Now you might be dealing with a person, you got to look behind that person. You might be dealing with a country, but you got to look behind that country. What's motivating it to be that wicked, to make laws so wicked? What is motivating them? What's influencing them? Go to Matthew 12, pick it up at verse 35. This is a telltale sign of who you're dealing with. Matthew 12, verse 35. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, go ahead.
A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things.
That's easy to discern. So you know who you're dealing with, and you know who's behind them. Well, go ahead.
36. But I say unto you that every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment.
Every idle word. That's why I said, don't let your flesh cause your mouth to sin. Don't let your mouth cause your flesh to sin. Because you got to give account of every idle word. Understand that these beings move at the speed of light. They live forever. They don't get tired. They don't sleep. And they take account of every idle word that you speak. Why? So that they can report and go and tell on you. See, I told you, this flesh and blood ain't worth nothing. Told you he was going to make an excuse and lie before the angel. They wrote it down and reported it. And we got to give account of every idle word that we speak. All of the foolishness, all of the jesting, all of the jokes, all of the silliness, all of the things that we have said just in passing, in a fleeting moment, they wrote it down. What you gonna do? Oh, it was just a joke. Yeah, really? Didn't he just tell us don't say it was an error? Every idle word. Go ahead.
Verse 37, for by the words thou shalt be justified, and by the words thou shalt be condemned.
So if you got good words, out of a good man, what's going to come out of the treasure of his heart? Good things. And out of an evil man, what's going to come out of his heart? Evil things. But they take in account of everything. Everything. Go to Ecclesiastes 12, pick it up at verse 14. Because it ain't just your words, it's your works too. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 14. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
For God shall bring every work into judgment.
How many works?
Every work.
Every work. That's all of them. Even the little silly, non-consequential work that you had. That we thought it was of no consequence. He's going to bring it into judgment. Along with every idle word. How is he doing this? Because these angels are collecting the information. They are collecting the proof. That's why you're going to either be justified by your words and your works or condemned by them. Go ahead.
With every secret thing.
With every what?
Secret thing.
So the things you thought you did in secret wasn't in secret. You thought you got away with that, but you didn't. Why? Because one of them angels moving at the speed of light checked in on you and wrote down what you was doing. I don't care how dark it was in that room. They saw you. First time somebody going to do something wrong, what they do? Turn out the lights. That's what they do. But they can see in the dark too.
For real.
But read that again. Start from the beginning.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Even the good and the evil works. Just like the words that you speak, they're going to bring every one of them into judgment. Go to 1 Corinthians 16. Pick it up verse 13. 16 verse 13. So we have to just take heed to ourselves. Not just what we're doing, but also what we're saying. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead.
Watch ye, stand fast in the faith. Quit you like men. Be strong.
So he's telling you, watch yourself. Stand fast in the faith and be strong in it. Go ahead.
Let all your things be done with charity.
And let all your things be done with charity. This is to make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to work against you. Because remember, he's going to bring everything into judgment. And charity do what? Charity covers a multitude of sins. Go to Colossians 3, pick it up at verse 14. This is just to secure our behavior, the way we think, and also what we're saying. Colossians 3:14, go ahead.
And above all these things put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness.
It is the bond of perfectness. It's what glues everything else together. Because whatever you do without charity ain't worth nothing. I don't care how good you think the work is. If you don't do it with charity, it ain't worth nothing. Go ahead.
15. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful.
Go ahead.
Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and in spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord.
So if you do this, guess what? You're not going to have any foolish jesting. You're not going to have any words that's going to work against you. You're not going to have any works that's going to work against you. So whatever them angels write down, it's going to be good. It's going to be a testimony for you instead of a testimony against you. Go ahead.
17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him.
So he's telling us what to do and how to do it. Do it in the name, in word or in deed. This is what they're writing down. In the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father by him. This is how we secure our salvation. Go to Matthew 25, verse 31. We only got one more place after this. So this is something that the Lord was saying, and it was a parable, but it's real life. 25, verse 31. You got it?
Yeah, I'm there.
Matthew 25, verse 31. Go ahead.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats.
Didn't I say he deal with nations? He don't just deal with people. Mm-hmm. All the nations. And he gonna separate them. Sheep from the goats. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
So he's obviously taking account of everything, isn't he? Mm-hmm. These people did all of these good things. Remember, the good man going to bring what out of him? Good. Mm. And he's doing it with what? With charity. So it ain't going to ever fail. Mm. This was taken account of. And the Lord said, when you did it for the least of them, you did it for me. Go ahead.
Verse 41. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.
Remember the scripture said that they was reserved under chains of darkness until the day of judgment? Mm-hmm. This is their judgment. They got fire prepared for everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. But because we followed them, guess where we're going to end up? In the same place with them. Because we was influenced by them. We end up in the same place. You might be in there with one of the ones that, hey man, I remember telling on you. I remember writing down what you did. All 456 times you did it. And I told every time. But you in there with them together. So Tony told me one time, he said, it'll be a sore thing if you end up in a lake of fire and you in there with one of them false prophets and saying, man, wasn't you the one preaching about the Sabbath? Wasn't you the one telling people to keep the commandments? What are you doing in here? That would be a sore thing.
Yeah, it would.
And it could happen.
Yeah, it can.
But finish that up, man.
42. For I was an hungered, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in. Naked, and you clothed me not. Sick and in prison, and you visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or at thirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me.
So it ain't all about what you do. Sometimes it's about what you're not doing. The scripture said, to him that know good and do it not, to him it is sin. So it ain't all about what you do. So sometimes it's about what you're not doing. And guess what? They writing that down too. Did not feed the homeless person that asked him for a piece of bread 221 times. Passed him by 650 times. Snarled at him 2,000 times. He's taking account of everything. Everything. But what's going to happen to him? Go ahead.
46. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal.
So you see the two ways. Everlasting punishment or to everlasting life eternal. And it is based off of your works. Your words. That is all written down by angels, whether they're good or evil. Go to Hebrews 12, pick it up at verse 29. This is the last place. Hebrews 12, verse 29. You got it?
28 or 29?
28, my
Okay.
fault. Hebrews 12, verse 28. All right, go ahead.
Wherefore we, receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear.
So that's how we're supposed to serve God. Acceptably, with reverence and godly fear. Go ahead.
For our God is a consuming fire.
Go ahead.
Let brotherly love continue.
So he said, because our God is a consuming fire, let brotherly love continue. All those things that those people did was brotherly love. Caring for somebody when they're hungry, providing for somebody, encouraging somebody, supporting somebody, whether spiritually or physically. That's brotherly love. He said, let it continue. Go ahead.
2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers.
Wait a minute. He said, be not forgetful to entertain strangers. Didn't the Lord say when I was a stranger, you did this for me? Didn't he say when I was a stranger, you didn't do this for me? Because you didn't do it for the least. So he's saying here, after reading that scripture, we cannot be forgetful to entertain strangers. We know how to discern whether they're good or evil. We know how to discern whether it's a good or evil spirit. that's behind it. Go ahead.
End of 2. For thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
And you know what? You just might be entertaining one of them angels and not be aware of it. But whatever you do, whether it be good or evil, whatever words you speak, every idle word is going to be taken account for. Every work is going to be taken account for, whether it's good or evil. Because at one time or another, we all are entertaining angels and not aware of it. And they are writing it down. So I thank you guys for listening. I pray we all got some understanding.